You don't know what your next step is, not because you're broken, but it's because you're lost. You don't have a clear path what happens after university on what exactly you should do to maximize your results. G'day, my name's Campbell Guthrie. I'm a 1% earner in Australia, and I've leveraged everything that I've built to ultimately run and support other future leaders at our completely free events for the Future Leaders Summit. We've helped over 1,076 future leaders in the last 12 months, and today I want to walk through what are there 4 pathways after you graduate university, and what does that look like for you, and how you can ultimately live the life that you say you want. Let's do this one. Cool. So you have 4 paths when you graduate university. The first option you have is to go down the internship route. So I'm sure that university you might have already done it, or you've at least seen the internship offers that you have available to you during university. And your reality is that you can either go down and follow what the university sets up for you and try and get a full-time job from that internship if you're one of the lucky ones. But let's walk through what that pathway actually looks like, and then we can discuss the pros and cons of it. So the starting salary, obviously, when you're in an internship is 0, right? You're volunteering for free just to get experience. But let's say that you are one of the lucky ones. And again, there's a big caveat here because not every single person who does an internship gets a job. In fact, most don't get a job. Most of them don't get caught up again. Why? Because the businesses have so many people who are graduating uni who they can always get internships, right? There's always people there who can, and even if they say that there's not, they don't really need another student who's not going to provide any specialized knowledge or really help their business at all, okay? So that's the typical pathway. Most businesses don't have the resources to help you, and if you are one of the lucky ones to work for a large corporation like KPMG or one of the others, then your starting salary is at $60K a year. So let's just say that you are one of the really, really lucky ones. You do get called back for the internship. You do get offered a full-time job. You go through that entire process. You're starting off at $60K a year, right? That entire process is going to take at least 2 to 3 years to fully set up. When you're doing from when you're doing the internship till after you graduate, till after you go through all the interviews and everything, it's going to be at least 2 to 3 years since you get going in that career, right? Start actually making some moves in it. Your average income at age 30 is going to be $95,000 a year. Okay, so yes, you are going to be able to create an above average wage because you have a business or IT university degree. However, the thing is that doesn't always correlate, okay? Not every single person who has a university degree actually makes the money, right? So there's a big caveat here is look, yes, your average income could be closer to that $95,000 a year mark, but in reality, it's probably going to be a lot less if you even use your degree at all, okay? This is all without getting specialized knowledge to help you increase that income, but we'll save that for a later one. Cool. So your competition level, what does your competition level look like when you're going through the internship? Well, it's high, right? Because every single person wants an internship. There's always competition, and they only get the best of the best to come in for full time afterwards, right? So the competition is extreme. The chance of freedom, so your level of the likelihood of you achieving the freedom that you want, and let's quickly define freedom because most people in their 20s have no idea what freedom actually is. If I was to ask you, what is freedom? What would you say? I don't know. I have all the money to do whatever I want, to location, time, blah, 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 freedom, right? You don't actually know what it is, okay? I'll explain it to you right here. There's 3 words. It's your freedom gives you the ability to protect, provide, and lead your family, the community, and the future. Okay? So when you have all 3 of those, that's when you know you have freedom, right? So your likelihood of achieving that, your ability to protect, provide, and lead, through an internship, is medium, right? You might get into a position where you could, give your family, give your community the same reality that you had growing up, which if you're anything, like us, it's probably not what the level that you want to be able to provide for your family. Okay. And you can do the best you can with this, but is that really what you want to be aspiring to? Is that what your goal, you want to settle for? Okay. That's up to you to decide. Your level of freedom that you're going to achieve is medium. You're not going to be able to achieve your big audacious goal through this level. Okay, that's one of the big things as well. The skills that you create, they're only tertiary skills. Why? Because you're going through university and it's just all the knowledge that university teaches you. Okay, you have no specialized knowledge at this stage, and that's the biggest thing on why you're not making as much money, why it's taking you so long, and ultimately why you can't give the level of freedom that you're after, because you have no leverage, right? Everything that you've taught at university, ChatGPT knows more than you, right? So why would I pay someone $60,000 a year when I can pay ChatGPT $20 a month for the better information? Okay, this is where you need to start thinking about where the future of business is going, and not just what university is teaching you. Cool. So that's your first route. So you can go down the internship and continue going down that route if you want to. But let's explore what other options you have. So you can either go down an internship, or you're probably working at a casual job at the moment. So your other option is to go from a casual to a full-time position and start making a little bit more money, right? So let's go through this, because the starting salary is, look, if you've been working at that casual job for like 2 to 4 years, basically all throughout uni, because you probably needed that job anyway just to simply survive during university, and you know, if for it to feed you, and you know, maybe have a couple of drinks on the weekend if that's what you're into. You might be able to get into a manager position where you're maybe making $70K a year. Look, I'll be completely honest, that's a little bit high, if you're asking me. But as soon as you graduate university, like you could get in a position where you are full-time, you're working loads, and you have a little bit more income, because it's just basic labor, right? Ultimately, you're not going to be able to scale as fast as like the internship if you're going down that professional route. But you know, if you're working at a job at Woolworths or Subway or an ice cream shop, like you have that option. Okay. How long will that take you? Well, look, it's probably not immediate. Immediate's probably a bit much, but it'll be, you know, close to quite a quick turnaround from when you graduate university to when you can go full-time in your job if you communicate with them, right? So that's an option. Your income at age 30 is obviously going to be sort of capped around that $90K a year mark, because you know, you are in that manager position. You're not really valuable to your employer at that stage, so you can go down that if you want, but it's obviously not going to be as high as the other options, right? Your competition level, so how like competitive it is to get into that role, is medium. So there's probably not that many people who are looking to get into a manager position at your specific shop that you're working for. However, if that shop doesn't need you anymore, then you're out. Do you know what I mean? As soon as you're not casual anymore, as soon as you don't benefit the business, then why would they keep you? Right? And this is what we're continually finding with people who come, is they're so lost at university that they don't know what to do, that they're just like, I don't know what to do. I'm not making a decision. I wasn't successful in the internships. I can't find a career that I want to go down. What are my options? I'm just going to work the full-time job, right? And they take that path, or they just continue working at the Subway that they're working at until the reality hits in when they're fired, right? Because the business no longer needs them. Or they're promoted, stuck in a manager position, and then can't leave. And then that's their life. They're known as the Subway manager for the rest of their life, okay? So look, those are your options, but really, really think about this and have a clear path before going down this route, right? Really think about if that's the way you want to go down, because the chance of freedom is obviously really low. You can't create the level of freedom that you want through a casual, a full-time position at a casual job such as Subway and that. You might be able to create some level, but really, if you're just a worker, you're not gonna be able to create it. Okay, the level of freedom that you're gonna be able to achieve is low, right? It's very low. Let's be real. It's the skills, because you only have that experience inside of that job, so it's not actually any specialized knowledge that you're gaining that makes you worthwhile, that makes you profitable to the business. All right, so your next option is entrepreneurship, right? And this is an option that we're seeing picked more and more and more for university students, especially with what we're doing at Forge and hosting over 1,000 future leaders, people who want to be leaders, or want to create the life that they're after, want to create the freedom, the ability to protect, provide, and lead, or create their own business, right? And what we're seeing is that people are choosing entrepreneurship, not necessarily because it's the smartest route, but because they think they're just going to hustle and they have what it takes to actually do it. But here's the reality, is that it's actually well harder than you think. And you can choose to do it the hard way, or you can choose to do it the smart way. So I'll show you what the smart way is in a second. But let's go through the hard way of going down entrepreneurship as someone who's just graduated uni in their 20s, right? Because like where every single entrepreneur starts, the starting salary is $0 a year. Right? You are making zero as soon as you start your business. And like this is where every single person starts. So you're not going to start making more. Your first year is going to be probably not profitable at all. You're probably going to make no money in your first couple of years. And in reality, it's going to take you at least a minimum of 3 to 10 years to build the business that you're after. And this isn't just to the 10K a month business that you think you want, right? This is to the business that you actually want. Because as soon as you start reaching that 10K a month, and right now it might sound awesome to make that much money, I can guarantee you as soon as you get that, it's not all what it's made out to be. Okay, 10K a month is one, the bare minimum, but also two, you still have to pay taxes, you still have to pay your employees, you have to pay your business, your products and everything that you're delivering, right? Your software, whatever. There's all money that comes out of that. So in reality, you're probably going to actually make less in your 10K a month business than you were from your casual job. Okay, and this is because, in order to create the level of business that you're after, to create the level of freedom that I know that you want, it's going to take at least 3 to 10 years to build that kind of a business, right? And that's only if you're lucky, because the reality is that the average income at age 30 is $85,000 a year, right? 75% of businesses make less than the average wage in Australia, right? I'll say that again. 75% of all business owners make less than the average salary in Australia, right? So you're better off working a dead-end job and you'll make more money than 75% of businesses. This is the reality of going down the entrepreneurial pathway, okay? 97% of all businesses fail, right? Like it's not what it's made out to be, okay? Yes, you can, yes, it'll give you the life that you're after, but no, it's not that easy to achieve. And also, you're trying to do it the fucking hard way, right? Let's go through it as well. What's your competition level? How many other people are wanting to be an entrepreneur these days? It's fucking extreme. It's very high, right? Everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. And what does that mean? The supply and demand curve gets out of whack, which means that you're not going to make as much money. This is the new reality that we're living in, okay? Your chance of freedom, your likelihood of achieving the level of freedom that you're after is low, right? It's low for everyone. Again, I've spoken to over 1,076 future leaders at our Future Leader Summit, our free events that we host on the Gold Coast. And what we're finding is that no one has had the level of success that myself and Isaac, my business partner, has. And the reason why is because they're trying to do entrepreneurship the hard way. We've been able to do it the smarter way because we've built two things first, and let me get into that in a moment, right? But first, let's finish the entrepreneurial pathway. So you're going down this, obviously your likelihood of freedom isn't that great, right? What is the level of freedom that you can achieve though? The level of freedom you can achieve is extreme. It is the greatest on any pathway possible. Okay, if you follow it and you can create the business of your dreams, and the level of freedom you will be able to achieve is greater than anything else. You'll have the time, you'll have the money, you'll have the emotion to be able to connect and actually enjoy the life that you're after. Now, there are a couple of caveats that to actually build that business is significantly harder than building $1 million a year business, right? Just the two different levels, but we won't go into that. But yes, the level of freedom that you can achieve is extreme through entrepreneurship, right? Why? Because the skills that you need to create are very high. You need to create a lot of skills in order to make a business work. So that is a really good path to go down, but it's also extremely difficult to start out, and that's because it's the hard way. So let's go through the smart way, right? The way that Isaac and I have both been able to achieve the level of success that we have so fast, because we've been able to follow this route, which is the DynamX Institute, or for us, going down a high leverage career. So what does that mean? That means getting industry experience, understanding how businesses work first before trying to start your own business as an entrepreneur, right? This allows you to get the two things that I was mentioning before. You're able to build your skills because you understand how business works, because you've seen businesses, you've created systems for businesses, you understand the internal mechanism or the internal engine that makes a business operate, right? Which you currently don't know how it works. You don't know how a enterprise business actually operates from the inside out. You can sure you can have a look at Nike and see that they're selling shoes and all their marketing and their sales process, but what actually makes that business tick? How are they continuing to be profitable? What does their internal systems look like? How do they track the trends that are coming up? How do they track all those metrics, all that data? You have no idea. I do, and the reason why is because we've been able to go through the DynamX Institute, go create a high leverage career, which gives you the skills, right? Because when you have those specialized skills, you have that specialized knowledge, you can create resources. Right? You create the money, you create the network that you need to ultimately, when you have those two things, skills and resources, it allows you to create leverage. And leverage is what you need to become a business owner. This is the biggest lesson that we've learned from hosting the Forge events for over almost 3 years, to over 2.5 years now, is people are trying to go down the entrepreneurship pathway as an entrepreneur and trying to do it without leverage. Right? Versus a business owner who does it with leverage. Think about this. Why is it that if someone who has already built an ultra successful business, that they're able to create a second, a third, a fourth so quickly? Right? I'll give you an example. Nick Sinclair, who was our speaker for one of our events, the event 6, he's built a 9-figure business, Toa Global. It's on the Gold Coast. It's one of the largest Gold Coast firms there is, right? It does over 100. I think it's close. I think it's like 130 mil this year in revenue, like turnover. Like this is a big deal, right? And he, because of all of his skills and all the resources that he has, he's been able to create another business on the side that did 600K its first year, right? Why? Because he has leverage. He has everything that he needs to succeed. How did he start Toa Global? How did he start the 9-figure business? He worked in his career first. Learned everything that he needed to then ultimately start his business in the future. So this is the reality, right? So let's actually go through it. So my point there is that I want you to really take home is that don't do it the entrepreneurial way. Don't do it through hustle. Do it as the business owner by leverage, right? There's a difference why people like Nick Sinclair can make any business opportunity work and why people in their 20s are struggling to make a single opportunity work because he has leverage. You don't. Cool. Let's go through DynamX Institute. What does this look like? Well, the starting salary is $100,000 a year. So I'll tell you another story. Isaac Wright, my business partner, he was in university in your exact same position. He was about 2 years into his degree, studying business and IT, and he just basically hit a wall. He was like, dude, what is the point of university? I'm sick and tired of this. I'm not learning anything. All the information that I'm learning is outdated. It's irrelevant. I just wanted to build businesses. I wanted to, utilize my critical thinking ability. I wanted to problem solve. I wanted to make a real impact in business. I wanted to ultimately learn it so I could become a business owner one day as well. And he came to me and was like, dude, I think I might just drop out. Like, university is just not for me. It just isn't what I want to do. I'm like, okay, well, instead of doing that, why don't we discuss what the DynamX Institute pathway looks like and how you can create your own high leverage career to do what you're after, right? Because what you're after is the ability to, again, like, use your critical thinking ability, find solutions, problem solving, getting a problem that you have no idea how to solve, but you continually to research, you continually to find the answer to the point where oh my gosh, I did it. I was able to make the impossible possible, right? And that's the level of problems that we can solve, that Isaac now solves every single day. He also understands how businesses work, and he understands the internal mechanisms of how to create businesses. So when he started out at university, 2 years in, he went through the institute himself. He's got everything that he needed to ultimately get himself into that high leverage career. As soon as he left university, he's making $100,000 a year. Right? His peers are looking for internships. They're looking to work for free. Do you understand, right, the different pathways? Isaac is now on $100,000, well, plus now, but as soon as he graduated, he was on $100,000 a year. Everyone else is going down the internship route. They're making $60K a year. They're making, minimum wage on a low leverage job, right? This is the reality. This is how you scale, right? And how long will it take? Well, it's going to take you 10 weeks. Through the DynamX Institute, is what we offer. It's a 10-week training. We're basically cramming 2 years of industry knowledge down into 10 weeks of specified training. That's what we're good at. That's exactly what we do for this particular pathway, okay? So you will be able to do this by yourself. Just as a small caveat, I'm creating a whole series on exactly how you can follow this step by step for free on my YouTube channel. Obviously, you're going to get partial results, okay? But if you're someone who's really committed, who understands the importance of getting 2 years into 10 weeks, so you're not going to be able to do that through YouTube videos, right? That's when you'll reach out to us. Cool. The income that you can make at age 30 is $200,000 a year minimum. This is the minimum that you can make when you hit 30 years old. And I'll give you an example. Myself, I graduated high school and went directly into this high leverage career, directly through what we teach at the DynamX Institute right now. And by age 22, I've become a 1% earner, which means I make $250,000 a year. Okay, at 22 years old. So by 30, you can easily, by minimum, make $200,000 a year. How much do you think I'll be able to earn at 30? How much do you think Isaac's going to be able to earn at 30? Like this shit scales. It's not, flat like the internships or like the casual to full-time pathways, right? This is where exponential growth can happen because you have specialized skills which ultimately allow you to do it, right? I'll come back to this other point as well. I think it's really important. But for right now, let's go through competition level. What does it actually look like? Well, it's extremely low. Do you understand? Because what we do is we work with inside the Microsoft ecosystem. Microsoft is one of the largest companies in the world at the moment, right? And it's going to stay that way because it has so much leverage. It's got so many resources that any other company that tries to compete with it or creates a brand new product is just going to buy them out, right? Microsoft is still going to be the big daddy. And ultimately, the industry is looking for more consultants. We're begging for people to get into the industry because there's such a shortage at the moment. And what does that mean for you? Supply and demand again. When the supply is low, you get to make your make your price, right? To pick your price. So you're going to be paid more because there's less people, and ultimately learn how businesses work and continually just get in there and learn because you have everything that you need, right? Ultimately allows you to create leverage. So what is your chance of freedom? What is the likelihood of freedom that you can achieve? And it's very high, right? Because at 30, the worst case scenarios, you're making $200,000 a year, right? If your parents were earning $200,000 a year when you were growing up, how much better would that have made it, right? Like, well, what sort of impact would that have had on your life, right? And if you want to give that life to your children, right, the better life that you wish you had, then this is where you can start, right? This is your next step. Fair? So your chance of freedom is very high because also this is a key point here is that Isaac and I aren't going to be in this industry at age 30, right? We're going to create our own business. We've already created our own business, right? But like the point is that now that we understand business, we understand how systems work, we understand how the internal workings of an enterprise business, of how a $100 million business operates, okay? We can now go ahead and create our own business because we understand the principles that you don't get to see but that we do, right? That you will through the DynamX Institute, through what we teach. Fair? So that's how your likelihood of freedom can increase. Rather than just making $200K a year as the minimum, you can also create your own business. This is the whole point, creating you leverage to do whatever you want, right? Because you start to become the business owner. When you have the knowledge that we have of how businesses work, you become that business owner and not just the entrepreneur. You use leverage, not just hustle. Fair? Cool. What is the level of freedom that you're able to achieve? Well, ultimately it's high. Now, is it as high as entrepreneurship? No, that's exactly why that we love going down and creating our own business, okay? However, your minimum is the level that you're wanting anyway, right? So your likelihood of achieving it is very high. The level that you can do it at is very high as well. Fair? The skills that you'll learn specifically through the DynamX Institute are the maximum amount of skills that you possibly can, right? Yes, you'll be able to learn the skills, the hard skills through the YouTube videos, the YouTube trainings that I'll create, right? Though probably that is created by the time you're watching this, but like, it's not going to teach you everything that you need, okay, unless you go through the Institute. So we'll teach you how you can get into that career and how you can learn about businesses. But ultimately, it's a snowball game. If you understand, then you understand. That's when you reach out to us. But if you want to start down here versus starting up here, this is where the compound happens, right? You start here by going through the Institute. Cool. So those are your 4 pathways when you graduate university. Okay, does that make sense? You got the internship, casual to full-time, entrepreneurship, and the DynamX Institute, or a high-leverage career, right? You need specialized knowledge because there's only 2 things that you need to create the freedom that you're after. You need skills and resources because when you have those 2, you have leverage. And leverage is what you use to create freedom, the ability to protect, provide, and lead your family, the community, and the future. I'll give you another example is we've spoken to over 1,000 future leaders in the last 12 months. And the biggest lesson is that when you try and hustle you hustle harder, it doesn't work. Okay, leverage is what works. There's a reason why I've seen such significant success and growth compared to everyone else. And I don't say that to gloat. Like I don't care at all about trying to, make ourselves look bigger, right? I run fucking free events. I spend all my money for the free events. Why? Because I want to support as many people as possible, and what they're doing isn't working. Okay, entrepreneurship isn't working. This is the pathway that works because we've followed it, we've done it, we train others to do it, and they're succeeding as well. So if you're interested, reach out to us on Instagram. Otherwise, there'll be a video somewhere on the screen that you can click to continue your training down the DynamX Institute pathway, or at least down the Microsoft ecosystem. I'll see you guys all very soon.